2.5% of VAT. In fact, you are accounting for the bauxite royalties as well. So all of these are part of the total revenue. But when you go to the expenditure, particularly the interest payment, this interest payment that you are showing excludes the interest payment for one, the energy sector levies bond, the ESLA bonds. It also excludes the interest we are paying on the back of the GET fund loans, and also excludes the interest we are paying on the back of the Sino-Hydro loan. So the interest payment that we are reporting of 37 billion, for me, it is overly underestimated. That is not the total.
So the bigger point you're making is, and the point I was stressing earlier is, so what you're saying is, now that we have the rating agencies downgrading us, with the possibility that we are going to be paying more interest rates, and your point that we haven't factored in other elements already, you actually say that even my projections that we might cross this is going to be significantly worse than that.
Evans, you are too charitable. Your projections are overly conservative because you have excluded certain key drivers. For instance, we have borrowed 9.3 billion Ghana cedis on the back of energy sector bonds, ESLA bonds. We have borrowed about 2.3 billion on the back of GET fund receivables. All of this, you are using the same tax revenue to pay. So the tax revenue, or the revenue of 100 billion you are reporting, includes the Energy Sector Levies Act, the proceeds coming from there, includes the ESLA. But when you get to the interest payment, you are excluding that. So you are underreporting.
But Doug, I mean, isn't there a justifiable reason why we shouldn't add that to our desktop? Because those are identifiable sources and they come in. So ESLA, we're paying already the levy. So when it comes, you use service it. In the same way with GET fund, which of course there is a levy for that. So that goes directly into that.
Okay, so Evans, let me take you through this. First, I have said that the debt to GDP is 83% by December. But I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm going to dwell on ability to pay this debt.
Okay.
Yes, we have countries that have debt to GDP of, let's say, 120, 140%.
Yeah.
The ability to pay is not the same as Ghana's ability to pay. The load I can carry will be certainly different from the load that my daughter can carry. So we can't carry the same weight. The weights are different. You use revenues or your tax revenue to service your interest. You don't use your GDP. Yes, the GDP helps you to generate the revenue. But your GDP is not the one that is using, you are not using that to pay your debt. You are using your revenues. So you want to look at the ratio, the percentage that you will use your revenue to service the interest. So you have been able to collect X amount of money. How many percent of that money are you using to pay your interest? Or how many percent of that money are you using to service your entire debt? If it exceeds certain threshold, then you are not sustainable in terms of ability to pay this debt. So ability to carry the loan is most important. That's why I do not dwell on the debt as a percentage to the GDP, because it means nothing to me. What it means is that it gives you some scenarios, and that is why in advanced countries, they are paying, probably their debt to GDP is about 140%. But they are using about 10 to 15% of their revenue to service those debts, because obviously they are collecting more revenue than us because of how formalized the economy is. We do not have that.